Hello Nigerians, hello Africans. My name is Dr. Debem, the anchor of the Rules Africa initiative. Trust you are all is going well with you today. I welcome you to the Rules Africa mission. I wish to use this opportunity to really appreciate many of you who attended the Africa Arise conference on the 7th of March 2020. It was an awesome experience. I was really thrilled. I was really encouraged and motivated by your presence. I knew that you had a lot of things that you scheduled for the day. You had top priorities that you could have done better for the day. But your presence showed to me that there are still many Nigerians who are moved and very concerned about the situation in the country and the situation in Africa generally. I found that day as a top day to be present in that conference. It was such a glorious moment for me. Sometimes I thought I was just alone, trying to think out of my own box, out of my own head, trying to get things done. But that day it was amazing. So I really appreciate you. And one of the participants who had to prioritize this conference over her daughter's visiting day, he was supposed to visit her daughter that day, who was in school, but he said he really needed to come to the conference because he also thought that one of the reasons for being in the conference is also discussing how we're going to make the future of our children better, his daughter inclusive. I was so thrilled by that experience, by that story. I know so many other people had a lot of things to do. They all came for the conference, irrespective of the situation, irrespective of the inconveniences. They all made it to the conference. And for those who could not make it for the conference, I really understand. I truly understand. It's been a lot and people are going through a lot. For the fact that you even registered and you couldn't make it, it gave me hope that you really wanted to, and you had this country, you had Africa in mind, and you would have wanted to make your own contributions. But for some reasons you couldn't make it. That's no problem. We still have more events that will be coming, which I will be sharing with you with time. So I want to use this opportunity to welcome everyone, those who are new to Rules Africa, who might be new to this vision, to welcome you to Rules Africa and to explain the core mission of Rules Africa. You might find it interesting to know that Rules Africa is not just an NGO. It's not even an NGO. Rules Africa is not an organization. It's not like what anyone could think of. Maybe having a structure with people working for some grants or looking for funds for some NGO project. It's not like that. That was never the interest and vision for Rules Africa. Rules Africa had the interest of the whole Africans in mind. This inspired the initiation and the idea of Rules Africa in the first place. Rules Africa is a mission, it's a movement, it's an action. It's calling all Africans to action. We've gone a long way. For a very long time, we've produced whole lots of amazing speeches, motivational speeches, inspirations, complaining as well, and a whole lot of accusations, pointing hands to the leaders and to the government as the cause of our unfortunate destiny. We have never thought about something different we could do to have a different result. That has to do with us as a nation, as Africans. There's something we can do for ourselves. We've done whole lots in the past, just like I mentioned, but we are not so sure why we are not getting the results that we all wanted, desired, and deserved. The Rules Africa came up with this initiative of inspiring people into core actions and practices so that we can take our destiny in our hands. We can decide our future. We can decide what happens to our children, what happens to the future of our children. To an extent, we are enjoying the benefits of sacrifices that ancestral heroes made in the past. But at some point, we started getting it wrong out of certain human extreme desires. We thought that we could ride over each other and get what we want as individuals. And we got it wrong at that point. And that is the anchor that majorly brought us to this extent and to this dilemma that we are suffering from. So let me use this opportunity just to introduce Rules Africa, the vision, the mission, the aims and objectives. You can rightly and strongly stand and see where we're going to and how you can fit in. because this is just a network, it's a society that we are building. Okay, the vision of G-Rural Africa is a remodeled society in a new Africa, a new Nigeria with improved dignity and values for equity and humanity by 2035. For equity and humanity by 2035. The vision is not just what I woke up sometime, or the group of people woke up sometime and they thought about. If you can remember the early survey that happened sometime about 4 or 5 weeks ago, the early survey is the African Liberation Initiative survey that a lot of Africans participated, but majority were Nigerians, to discuss a lot of issues and their perceptions about Nigeria, about Africa, and about the vision we had. So we thought about the models, what could be everyone's vision. A good thing was that majority of us agreed that we had a vision for the country. We wish to live in a very decent and modern society. What I got out of their views and their perceptions, that's the majority of them, majority of us. We want to live in a society where there is equity, fairness, justice in everything that we do. We consider each other and not just alone. And we fairly look into each other's problems and see how everyone could fairly receive what he deserves, and not just one person taking it all because you have the power, because you have the authority. That is one. Then secondly, we also want a society where people consider and value humanity first in everything that we do. And what is humanity? Humanity is about how people interact with each other. How do we do that? Interaction has to do with knowing that you are there for each other, knowing that one could support you and you could support someone else, knowing that your interest could only be taken care of when you've taken care of somebody else's interests. So in supporting you, I am keeping you healthy, making you happy, so you'll be able to work hard, you'll be able to be happy, you'll be able to be healthy to support me. We all have our individual functionalities and individual services that we perform as professionals, as humans, but no one could do it all. You could only have 1 or 2 values that you can add to the society, but you also need other people's values and other people's services to be able to live and be happy. So this is all that we count for. So this brings about interactions with humans, and this is the vision that we have. We've lost it. We've certainly lost it. The kind of stories and the kind of news we hear these days will tell you. And these days, you don't need to hear news. You just step out of your neighborhood, look around what's going on. You could only pray and be grateful to God that it doesn't happen to you. But it's not selective anymore. It goes around, it comes to everyone. This is the vision, that we shall get to this society someday by 2035. We all have a goal. And the 2035 came from the early survey. Majority believe that it could happen in 10 years' time and in 20 years' time. So the G-Rural Africa decided to take the average. Between 10 years and 20 years, that's the timeline they believe that they could achieve this vision. So we are taking the middle, 15 years, believing that if everybody will work assiduously, well and hard, making your own individual effort towards this goal, just like you do on your own personal achievements, that will definitely get there. So what is the mission? How do we get to this vision? We'll get to this vision through revival and restoration of hope and true African values for humanity over materialism in our society, through selflessness and real acts of kindness. Through selflessness and real acts of kindness. 2 major actions or 2 major missions: revival, restoration, hope, and African values. Selflessness has to do with sacrifices. We must make sacrifices. What is going on in the nation, because there is the comfort zone that most of us have found ourselves in, we decide on what we make sacrifices for, and that has to do with what we think we can benefit personally. Anything that doesn't benefit us personally, we don't make any sacrifices. And the good thing about this, that all of us will still know today, is that there is nothing we have achieved individually in our lifetime and still working towards achieving now that we didn't pay for or we are not paying for. One way or the other, we are making sacrifices. We feel pains, we go through pains to get the gains. This is because it has to do with us. the education we've achieved, all our academic qualifications, and we are still reading. We are still the job you are looking for, the job you go for every single day. You raise your children, you hope to have a very beautiful family. All these things that we do because we know that there's something about this that we are looking for that will benefit us and will make us happy and give us peace. We make whole lots of individual sacrifices to get this. So the question is, if we actually and truly wish to have and live in a decent society, decent neighborhood, how much of sacrifices have we made? What exactly, what actions, what are we losing into this that we can say as an individual, this is what I am doing to get to this promised land? What sacrifices are we making? If you go through it and be very, very honest to yourself, you will discover that we all wish to make changes in our society, in our neighborhood, in our communities from our comfort zone. We think we will still be comfortable. We just wake up one day and discover that, oh, somebody else has come into leadership and the whole country has changed. We'll not be happy. But that same person that will handle power someday will definitely come from us. So if we have always been thinking about ourselves, we've not thought of making sacrifices for others, making sacrifices for the nation, making sacrifices for the common belief and the common hope we have as members, as citizens of Africa, as the continent. How do we get there? Have we thought about it? It's still about us. Individualism, struggling for one thing or the other. Nobody cares for anything again. We can't change the nation from our comfort zone. It's a very strong misconception. We cannot do that. It's not possible if we are not going through some pains, going through some sacrificial processes for us all to make the same change. The selflessness is actually coming from one of the G-Role mission lines, which is the G-Role Africa Leadership Values. It's targeted towards leadership values, and we still think today the African leaders are our problems. Our government officials, our politicians are our problems. We never thought that these people sometime in their life, before they got there, were among us. They belong to the people, they were part of the people, they are part of the oppressed, they are part of the lower or middle class social status population, and so on and so forth. And one thing you could discover then was their mindset were very different. They were thinking like we are thinking, they were thinking like us. Just because they didn't have an opportunity to benefit, they accused the government, they used all manner of speeches, or anything you can think of. They complained just like us. But have you ever thought what happens immediately they get to that position? Everything about their mindset, everything about them changes. Every single thing changes. Their leadership styles, all they've promised even when they were the people, even when they were campaigning, will never come to pass. Have you thought about that? So the problem are not those individuals as people, as whom they are. The problem is still our leadership values. What we value today, we have it inside our minds. And nations are changed from inside, not from the outside, not from the divisions that we preach every day. It's from inside. So what you see happens is that a man has no opportunity to express himself if the environment or the circumstances do not warrant that or do not support it. But as soon as they get to a point where you now have opportunities and circumstances and environment could now support you to do whatever, that inside values that the man has or the woman has would come out. And the person will start expressing at the leadership level. And you think the problem is the person. No, if you still choose among us randomly to send people to positions of power, the same thing will still happen. Africans will still be Africans the way we are if we are going by our leadership values. So one of the major targets of the G-Role Africa mission is our leadership values through selflessness. Acts of kindness is coming from the people in the lower social cadre, the population, the people. It's all about giving hope. This is the only way we can give hope to each other. That irrespective of what happens in the seat of power, in the government and so on and so forth, whatever they do, we can still be happy, irrespective of the government policies, whatever thing that they think they do. Yes, they do it for themselves. But if you can be kind to each other, we raise hope, we share hope around. Tell someone, let someone in your neighborhood, in your community, on your way to work, anywhere you are, let someone ask, do we still have Africans like this? And I tell you, each hope you share to someone, to any African, gives the person the courage and the motivation to still work, to believe that we can still make this. We can still realize this vision. We can still get this model society someday. Oh, we still have Nigerians like this. Oh, we still have Ethiopians like this. Oh, we still have Ghanaians like this. Oh, we still have Egyptians like this. We still have Africans. They still exist. Oh, definitely we'll get there. And that is the hope. Act of kindness. See people on the way that are helpless. Please don't be too busy with your individual lives that you wouldn't stop to help them. Even if you can only ask them if they need help. Let it be that you don't have anything to offer, but you've asked, you showed concern. That's all we need. Hope among ourselves. If you can give hope among ourselves, support each other strongly. Live like your life depends on every other person around you. I'm telling you, even with the worst of government, even the worst of leadership in any country in Africa, we will still be happy, and we can still strongly profess our values, practice our values. So what Rural Africa is looking out for is that someday, someone with remodeled leadership value and who is practicing it, who is already making sacrifices, already, without hoping anything, someday, if that person gets to power, you can tell what he can do.